Ladybugs have sicked poisonous caterpillars on humans and are now enjoying their misery. Who will win this war? Find out from the recap of the movie Minuscule 2. A snowy morning in the mountains. A family of ladybugs has found a berry in the woods and is carrying it into their nest. Dad, Mom and the two kids are hurrying home, while one of the sons finds a big red apple on the way and wants to bring it home. Even though it is too heavy, the baby still picks it up and flies with it to the nest. The family of ladybugs flies into a small hollow filled with various supplies. The father notices that one baby is missing and flies to find him. Meanwhile, our baby is dragging a huge apple. The nasty flies notice this. They surround and beat him, taking the apple away. But then Ladybug Daddy shows up and starts teasing the flies. They drop the apple and chase after him. A web with a spider appears in their path. Daddy manages to slow down, but the nasty flies crash into it full speed, sticking to the web and falling down along with the spider. Dad returns to the sun, and together they fly home. However, for some reason, they no longer have an apple. The ladybugs fall asleep soundly in their hollow. At the same time, a squad of black ants sneaks into the night city. They notice a candy store. The ants look inside and see the guards eating marshmallows. There are lots of boxes full of sweets on the shelves, and there's sugar too, a real ant's paradise. When the guard goes outside, the black ants make their way inside a store and drag a wooden board on the shelf containing the sugar. They climb up, grab one of the boxes and bring it down. Admittedly, in doing so, they almost crush the ant commander. Suddenly, a group of red ants shows up at the store. They want the sugar too. The black ants scatter and their commander goes to the warehouse, where they pack parcels for different countries all over the world. The red ants are chasing them, and with each passing second, there are more and more of them. The ant commander signals an alarm, and Ladybug Daddy hears it in the woods. He flies to the aid of his ant friends, and the sun follows him. The red ants drive the black ant onto the lampshade hanging from the ceiling. They are getting closer and closer to him. Dad and son rescue the ant commander and take him away from the lampshade, but the red ants don't wish to lose their prey and hold the black ant tight. The lamp swings, so the red ants fall from it and end up in a box, which is supposed to be sent to China. However, the lampshade knocks the ladybug son down as well. He falls into a box of sweets that will be sent to Guadeloupe, and is immediately sealed. The package is loaded into a car and driven to an airport. Ladybug Dad flies after his son. Since the box is sealed with duct tape, Dad can't get inside. He sits on top of it and comforts the frightened junior. The car arrives at the airport. A loader brings a box inside, but Dad can't keep up with the son and bumps into a closed door. He is bailed out by a local cockroach. He shows the ladybug the way through various pipes. As the box is being loaded into the luggage compartment of an aircraft, Ladybug Dad catches up with the departing plane and makes his way inside through the landing gear door. He finds a box with his son and tells him to get some sleep, as they have a long way to go. The plane flies across the ocean and lands on an island in the Caribbean Sea. Boxes of candy are loaded into the back of a pickup truck, which is headed to a local cafe. Dad sits on top and doesn't leave his son's side for a second. He eagerly explores the local flora and fauna. The box begins to shake because of the bumpy road, and Ladybug Dad falls onto the ground. He faints from the impact and loses the sight of his son. The boxes of sweets are delivered to the cafe. The owner opens it and Junior is set free. He flies into the jungle, leaving behind smelly marks, which may help his dad find him. At this time, Ladybug Dad comes back to his senses and sees a huge crab. He crawls on the sand and ends up on the beach. Daddy sees the sand crab stealing food from the vacationers. Nearby there is a warning sign, "Attention, poisonous caterpillars." One of these caterpillars crawls up on a sleeping tourist, and the latter accidentally crushes it. His skin immediately becomes covered with green spots and becomes terribly itchy. Real dangerous babies. Ladybug Dad sees a group of local black ants dragging a huge coconut along the beach. He introduces himself and asks for help. One of the ants starts a radio conversation with his relatives around the world. Ants can hear the signal aboard ships, on submarines, and even on the Great Wall of China. Ladybug's friends, the ant from the mountains, gets the message too. He rushes to the warehouse and finds an old globe amongst the junk. He uses it to find out that the ladybug has reached the island of Guadeloupe, which is on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and relays this information. The black ant goes to his friend Spidey for help. He lives in the dollhouse and listens to opera all the time. At first, Spidey slams the door in front of the ant, but then agrees to help. Spidey takes his toy boat and attaches the helium-filled balloons along with battery-powered propellers to it. They go on a trip together. At Spidey's command, Ant occasionally releases the balloons, which allows them to change the height of their flight. They take turns at the helm. There is even a compass on their ship. While they are flying, Ladybug's son is exploring the world and the jungle of Guadeloupe. It is full of insects that don't live in the mountains. The little boy is very frightened. While flying, he sees a strange plant with beautiful berries in front of him. The ladybug sits on it, and the plant immediately swallows him. It turns out to be a predatory sundew. The little guy releases his poisonous gases, and the plant falls, letting him free. Junior meets the mantis. The latter tries to hypnotize his victim, but at the last moment, Sun shoots a poisonous jet into his eyes. The mantis rushes after the ladybug, but crashes into a liana. Junior flies into a crack in the rock and gets caught in Spider's web. There is also the local ladybug, a fly and a poisonous caterpillar. Let's call the local ladybug the aborigine, so as not to be confused. The insects are struggling to get out of the web. A huge furry spider crawls out of the burrow and starts dancing around the kid. At this time, Ladybug Daddy finds his son by the smelly marks he left behind and drops a large rock on the web. The web tears and the predator falls to the bottom of the cave along with his victims. Dad and the aborigine pull the unconscious son out of the cave, then release the fly from captivity and finally drag the poisonous caterpillar outside. The spider comes back to his senses and rushes after the protagonists. At the very last moment, Dad and the aborigine manage to drag the flat caterpillar through the narrow passage and the spider can't get through. Dad and the aborigine bring the son to the nest of the local ladybug. He doesn't move. The insects perform a funeral ceremony. They lay Junior in a cave, cover him with puffball mushrooms, sprinkle him with flower pollen, and buzz a mournful song. Spidey and Ant are flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Spidey is listening to his opera. A storm is brewing. The ship is tossed from side to side. Ant is throwing up. Lightning strikes the ship. The balloons burst one by one. The ship falls into the water and sinks. It gets swallowed by a huge shark. At this time, the morning dawns at Guadeloupe, and the ladybug's son comes back to his senses. He and the aborigine kiss tenderly, then fly along the beach, have fun, and rest on a rock together. Daddy narrates stories of his adventures to the locals. The ladybugs cheerfully lift a huge coconut into the air and drop it on the rocks. The coconut breaks, and the ladybugs enjoy eating its flesh, except that Dad is already homesick for the family. Meanwhile, the ship with Ant and Spidey remain in the belly of a giant shark. Spidey brings his speaker to the deck and turns up the music to maximum volume. The shark convulses and spits the ship out of his mouth. The little heroes rise onto the surface of the sea, and the ant inflates the balloon again. It's morning, and the ladybugs are awakened by the sound of a chainsaw. Construction equipment appears on the beach, along with engineers and workers. The construction of a hotel begins. The ladybugs are about to lose their home since it's built in a tree hollow. Dad remembers the incident with the poisonous caterpillar on the beach. He goes to the jungle and meets a mantis. The predator begins to hypnotize Dad and grabs him. But the son snatches Dad from the mantis's grasp and carries him away from the danger. The mantis chases the ladybugs. 3 more of his companions join in the pursuit. Dad and son fly to the seashore. There's nowhere else to retreat to. They are surrounded by a group of mantises. Suddenly, Spidey and Ant's airship appears, and the ladybugs climb aboard. Spidey brings a match to a firecracker mounted on the ship's stern, and it explodes. A thick smoke surrounds the mantises, and the airship flies away. The ant and the ladybug Dad are excited to see each other. Our heroes fly to the cave where the caterpillars live and get inside. Ladybug Dad recognizes the little caterpillar he's rescued from the web. Dad meets the king of the poisonous caterpillars. He's truly huge. The king touches Dad's head with an antenna and reads all the information about his journey and adventures. The Caterpillar King agrees to prevent the construction of the hotel. Construction work continues. One of the engineers sees a caterpillar on his arm and flicks it to the ground. The engineer and his colleagues are enveloped in a cloud of poisonous substance released by the caterpillars. The other workers witness the engineers being covered with green spots. People realize that the entire coast is dotted with these caterpillars. Construction is immediately halted. Workers in chemical protective suits and gas masks set up a sign that reads, "Danger! Poisonous caterpillars," and people leave the beach. Dad and son say goodbye to the local ladybugs. All the members of the big family crawl up to them one by one and buzz fondly. The Aborigine comes last. The European ladybugs are getting on board. The ship departs back home. A farewell gift awaits the main character on the deck. It's a large, juicy coconut. The Aborigine is sitting aside from the others in sorrow. Junior is also looking sadly towards the shore. He bids farewell to Dad and flies back. Junior finds the Aborigine and they kiss tenderly. The airship returns to the snow-capped mountains. The friends say goodbye and part ways. The ant sneaks into the anthill where his mates are sleeping. He has prepared a surprise for them. In the morning, they find a huge coconut among other supplies. The spider returns to the dollhouse. He settles down on a soft pillow and listens to his favorite music again. Daddy flies into the hollow, sits down next to his sleeping family and closes his eyes tenderly. And it is snowing in the forest on the mountain slopes. Did you like the video? Then give it a like and watch a recap of the first part of this cartoon on our channel in case you've missed it. You've been watching the Movie Cat channel. I'll see you later.